when I walk into the room. Wind blows underneath the soles of my brand new pair of shoes. I got the attention, I'm on a mission. No sweat in the way I step, I got a fresh new attitude. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. Call me a king, you can buy me a crown. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. I'm leveled up, and this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off, tell them they can go and write this down. This is my world now. New look, got the ladies shook. New watch saying it's my time. These magazines wanna feature me, cause they know I'm on the rise. Get the attention, I'm on a mission. Cause ever since I flipped that switch, my power can't be denied. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. Call me a king, you can buy me a crown. Oh my, 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 oh my, my, my. I'm leveled up, and this is my world now. This is my world now. So anyone who tried to write me off,
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Our family started RVing a few years ago, and when I think about all those campfires and fishing trips and sporting events, these are memories that are going to last a lifetime. I want to help others do the same thing. Hi, I'm Kevin Smith, General Manager at the all-new Click It RV in Milton Freewater. People in this community are very familiar with this location and the great service they've always received. So the biggest question we get is, where is Keith? The great news is, Keith is still here.
I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Through all the changes that we have seen, one thing that has not changed for us is the quality of our service.
Buying an RV is a big purchase, but it should be a fun and happy experience. So whether it be in sales or service or parts, our mission is simple: be the best. From our team here at Click It RV in Milton Freewater, we invite you to come down and experience the difference.
For the first time since 2009, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series returned to the beloved Milwaukee Mile this past Sunday, and now it's eNASCAR's turn. And FTN is proud to bring you split 2 coverage for race number 5 of round 2 for the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying series from the virtual Milwaukee Mile in Wisconsin. Good evening, race fans. I'm Jason Rockfell, alongside my analyst, driver the number 54, Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Camry XSE in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, Daniel Falkingham, and also our producer, David Kreutz over at FTN. David, how are you doing tonight? Or Daniel, rather, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, almost got there, but I'm doing great tonight, Jason. I'm ready for another night. It's the eNASCAR Road Pro Night in America once again, and ready to get going here at the Milwaukee Mile. The first time the Milwaukee Mile has been on the eNASCAR Road to Pro schedule, as it made its appearance on the Coke Series schedule earlier this year. Got to race race number 2 of the year, and it was definitely a struggle for us, and definitely a race I want to forget. But happy to be up here in the broadcast booth, getting ready to call tonight's race, and I'm very interested to see the action that's going to go down tonight. Like how different the truck's going to race here compared to the next gen that we raced in the Coke Series earlier this year. I'm very intrigued to see how this race.
Milwaukee Mile for the first time since 2009, like I had stated right at the top of the broadcast. That race was one to definitely remember. Definitely interesting. A lot of things to note about that race that's probably going to translate into this one for sure. But I mean, you just talked about it, Dan. It was the second race of the schedule here for you this year in the 2023 Coke Series. What do you expect for this track tonight to put on for these truckers here?
Well, it's going to be very intriguing because what we saw on Sunday with the Craftsman Truck Series, when they made their return in Milwaukee, they were able to run multiple different grooves. A lot of these guys run the second lane, third lane, even the fourth lane at times. But tonight it's going to be a little bit different. Everyone you're most likely going to see is going to be trying to wrap the paint, wrap right around the bottom, because it's really using any of the groove here in the iRacing service. It's really not usable. You may be able to pinch someone off running the height side and battling for position, but you really can't run those other lanes for speed and all that. So it's definitely going to be a little bit different from what we saw on Sunday, which is going to make track position. It's going to be a lot harder to pass. Going to be track position is going to be much more important. So it's definitely going to be very intriguing race to watch. And like I said, these trucks are probably going to race way different. Like how the tires react going to be way different as well. So a lot of unknowns going into tonight's race.
Obviously, 2 weeks ago, we saw Split 2 action. Blaze Crawford, your winner, very first eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying series victory for him. So congratulations once again to Blaze Crawford. And you take those guys, and now you come this week to the Milwaukee Mile. 2 weeks ago, we were at a super speedway-like track at Michigan. How does a driver like you sim racing drivers go from a super speedway-like track to now a flat surfaced racetrack with old surface, it's aged, and the tires just, there's so much degradation to the tires over the long runs. How does a driver prep for themselves knowing they're going from two totally separate tracks in 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's very different, that's for sure. You go from like this big 2 mile sweeping oval to probably the flattest track we have on the entire schedule of round 2. So it's definitely going to be a big challenge for these drivers, but they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this kind of challenge, and I think everyone's ready to go tonight. Everyone's ready to see, as we have this our third to last race, see who's going to lock in to the top 20, where we could see even a few drivers lock in after tonight's race. Depends on how the points shake out. So as qualifying comes to an end, we're going to get ready to set the grid here in just a minute. We're ready to get this thing underway and ready to see like who's hit the set at the best. It's really been I'd say a lot of these guys have had some practice with some C opens last week when they were at Milwaukee last week. So a lot of these guys might be feeling pretty good coming into tonight, but there's still going to be a lot of unknowns as we get ready to go, as we are ready to set the grid.
And we're ready to set the grid here. We're going to take you all track side, top 10, and then top 20, all the way back to 31st. So here is your starting lineup for tonight's event at the Milwaukee Mile. Starting in row 1, you have Spencer Kostowitz and James Wenzel. Row number 2 goes to Brad Wright and Eddie Kerner in the number 24. Row 3, you have Agnell Phillip, Jackson Crowder, who was very fast in round 1 of Road to Pro. Row number 4, that is, one of the dominators, the points leader coming into tonight, Daniel Botafuco, and one of the GOATs of the eNASCAR world, Ray Alfala in the number 2. And then in row 5, you have Seth DeMerchant in the number 1 and Cody Harris, Dan, in the number 23.
That's like your top 10 is where we go down to row number 6 here. You got Tommy Gossett and Jack Coyne that are going to make up P11, P12 in row number 6. Then you got Kwame Scott and Johnny Avila out of the next C Sports can. They're going to make up row number 7. You got John Jenkins and Michael Frisch rounding out row number 8. Then you got Tanner Love and Kenny Humpy rounding out row number 9. And as we complete the top 20 here, Jason, we got Kyler Wynn and Michael Venable.
Rounding out the rest of the field here, you got row 11, just 2 weeks ago, picked up his first eNASCAR Road to Pro victory, Blaze Crawford and Austin Johnson in the 16 machine. Row number 12, Brendan Meal and Logan Helton, driver the number 11. Row 13, Max Brady and Chris Hill, driver the number 14. Row 14, Kevin Champagne, Jake Nichols in the number 8. Row 15 goes to Mitchell Hunt and Ryan Hill. And rounding out the field in row 16 tonight, Dan, is Jesse Kaplan. And these 31 drivers are ready to take on the Milwaukee Mile. Dan, we've seen a lot of dominators here in recent weeks, from Botafuco, Hurst, LaPrade, Navarro, just to name a few, who've been so dominant in round 2. Do you think we're going to see anybody else kind of pick up their strengths here tonight at the 1.015 mile oval?
I'm going to see who's going to hit it right and see. We got a lot of people, guys that have been running so strong all season, like Logan Hull and Max Brady. They're starting down the field a little bit, so that's going to take them a little bit as well. I don't know if we're able to get our weather up here as we take a look at the weather for tonight's race. Partly cloudy, 73 degrees with a track temp of 106, so the track's definitely feeling a little toasty. So these tires are going to wear, handling's going to matter. Very intrigued to see how the race is going to shake out, as we're going to get ready to start the first of 100 laps here, Jason.
These guys are ready to take on 100 laps this time by as they come into the restart zone this time. Here we go. Race number 5, round 2, underway. This time, Spencer Kostowitz fires out of the cannon down into turn 1. He's going to have all these drivers.
Contact in the back. Contact in the back already. One around at turn number 1 on lap number 1. trying to see who that was. Someone got spun right out of line. I believe it was Kenny Humpy. Kenny Humpy, 35th in points with a drop coming into tonight. It's not really been the round 2 he's been hoping for, and tonight it's he's gonna be on the shelf, and it looks like he's headed home early on lap number 1, Jason.
Very, very heartbreaking move for Kenny Humpy, obviously, but Dan, that's what these drivers got to worry about. There's so much on the line here with only 3 races remaining. How do you just maintain your race if you're Kenny Humpy, knowing that heading into turn 1, you get turned into the wall?
Yeah, just, and that's all. I don't think I've really mentioned yet just how the restarts are going to be. What I mentioned, like back in my experience in the Coke race earlier this year, the restarts got so wild. We were 2 wide, 3 wide. Heck, we were even 4 wide at times going into turn number 1. And some guys really just trying to push the issue really early, and it did not really work out for him. It didn't work out for Kenny Humpy, as they were like already 3 wide, a little bit of contact between a few drivers, and then Kenny Humpy just nowhere to go. And unfortunately, he was the only truck involved there, and that's going to be, he ended up blowing his engine. He's on pit road. He's got the meatball flag. And like I said, it's going to be an early into his night and an early exit for the number 5 machine.
Something that he did not want to see. Kenny Humpy, one of those drivers who needed to have a good night, came in tonight 35th out on the grid, or should I say in the point standings. But Dan, now that we've seen an early yellow here at the Milwaukee Mile, what do you think we're going to see? Are we going to see guys stay out possibly, maybe try to, pull a move where if they stay out, they're going to wait all the way till they have to actually pit on their number? Or do you think maybe we could see some guys coming to the pits here this time?
Even if you pit here, you can make it all the way on fuel. I'd say around the fuel window is probably around maybe 70 laps from the guys I've been talking to about their pit strategies. So like, how long can these guys go on fuel? So around 70 laps or so. So right now, these guys aren't going to make it all the way. So I imagine just right now, just keep your track position. If we maybe get another caution, probably 15, 20 laps from here, you might see some guys try to pit and then maybe try to stretch it if this race gets a green flag feel to it. But that, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. As the field looks like they're double filed, and we're ready to try to do it again for our first restart of the night.
We're going to try to do it this time. Obviously, we'll have to see. Spencer Kostowitz, your leader currently in that number 26, listed as that 96, though, out on the door. So we're about to see how this ends up going for him. But he's got lots of drivers around him who are very, very hungry for a win as well. They're getting ready to have the iRacing sedan come in, this time off turn number 4. Is the 98 or 26, you could say. Spencer Kostowitz ready to fire off out of the restart zone just like he did for the green flag, and this time it's going to be a restart for him. 2x2, they come into the restart zone. Green flags back in the air. They hit lap 5 out of 100, and Kostowitz is down off into turn 1 and away.
After tier number 1, Spencer Kostowitz gets a great jump right from the lead, right from the pole. And it looks like everyone else is going to be playing a little bit nicer this time through turns 1 and 2. They're going to make their way down the back stretch. We got our first side-by-side battle for looks like the 3rd position between James Wetzel and Agnell Phillip as they head to turn number 3. Spencer Kostowitz going to come around and complete the first lap under green in the lead.
Kostowitz, your leader off turn number 1. You're seeing drivers try to make it every single pass they can make because, Dan, passing is going to be something that is going to be very hard to come by here tonight. This track, primarily a bottom feeder racetrack, can be multi-groove racing from what we saw on Sunday and also some open stuff earlier last week. What are your expectations here as the runs go on? Will we see guys try to save tires, or will we see guys try to fight and claw for every position?
Especially for the guys in the back with how deep they are, they're going to want to try to make their moves early, but they don't want to try to kill their tire at the same time because track position is going to be so important, just like it was in the Coke Series race earlier this year. Track position is huge. You need to be handling good in traffic as well. So that's going to be something as we see a little contact between Daniel Buttafuoco and I believe that's Jackson Crowder. That's the 6th spot as Daniel Buttafuoco is going up the middle. He's going to go 3 wide in between Agnell Phillip and Jackson Crowder. Want to move from the 13 machine as he's going to try to hold it. They're going to remain 3 wide off of turn number 4.
Now you see Buttafuoco there in the middle lane trying to make sure he doesn't make any contact with anybody else. He'll slide right back down to the bottom. Tried the crossover move. Not going to be enough this time off turn number 2. They're still double wide as they head down to 3.
Turn number 3, first side-by-side battle between, looks like Jackson Crowder, Agno Phillip, Daniel Buttafuoco. They were just 3 wide, 1 lap ago, and they're going to remain playing nice as Crowder. He's going to clear for looks like the 5th or 6th place. And then you got Daniel Buttafuoco looking for position on Agno Phillip for P number 7 down back to turn number 1. Buttafuoco going to maybe get the move done. Yes, he does. He gets clear. Now here goes Seth the Merchant trying to fill that hole in behind Daniel Buttafuoco. It's kind of looking like a race to Martinsville a little bit, where everyone's trying to fight for the bottom. If you get hung on that outside, you're going to go backwards. It's probably going to tear up your tires a lot more on that outside lane. So Agno Phillip trying to find a hole. He gets down in behind Seth the Merchant, back in the 9th position.
You see Agno Phillip right now trying to make a move down to the bottom of Seth the Merchant, down to turn number 1. He'll dive it down in there, kind of swipe up towards him just a little bit. No contact made, but he's trying the best he can to continue his march towards the front. Again, passing such a crucial point here, and you only have 100 laps, Dan. This is going to fly by really, really quickly. 30 to 31 second lap times. This race is only going to take about half the time of what a normal race would be if you were doing 100 laps at a mile and a half, let's say. So these guys have their work cut out for them tonight. It's going to be a quick one.
Yeah, as we can see right now, really nothing much going on. Single file right through most of the field. We had a little side-by-side battle in the very back of the field, but as you can see, everyone is just trying to keep it calm, keep it nice in this early part of the race, and just seeing where their long run comes in. As here we go, we are seeing a side-by-side battle around Austin Johnson, Logan Helton, and they're trying to get it all sorted out back there. As right now, everyone else remaining single file for the most part.
Single file, you see Brendan Meal trying to make some passes currently as he works down to the bottom side, kind of slides up just a little bit, some more contact back behind them as well, but everybody meanwhile still single file as they work their way down the back straightaway, approaching lap number 13. But so far it's been all Spencer Kostowitz here, Dan, up at the front of the field trying to get away from Brad White and James Wenzel in that 13 machine.
Spencer Kostowitz trying to get back a win. He lost in round number 1 in Mid-Ohio over on FTF. He led the entire race, and then unfortunately got messed up with some lap trucks on the final lap and lost the win to Daniel Buttafuoco. So definitely out here for some revenge, to see if he can get a win on the season. He's been fast almost every single week, and now he's here just trying to finally put a stamp and try to close one of these races out. Right now, so far so good. Early doors looking pretty good, but Brad Wright, he is there to challenge.
And he's there to challenge for sure here as they work on to lap number 15 coming up in just a second. We'll have to see how this battle plays out. And everybody, though, Dan, still trying to fight and claw for every single position. And obviously talk about earlier on in this broadcast about how crucial tire wear was. When do you expect these tires to start falling out because of how old this surface is here at the Milwaukee Mile?
Yeah, I definitely expect there's going to be a lot of fall off, but right now, early stage, you're going to see that you're going to start seeing the fall off quite a bit right now. And there's probably going to get to a point as well where the tires are just going to even out. You're going to be trying to be consistent. You're going to be running the same amount of laps over and over and over, the same lap time stuff. So there's going to be a point where the tires are just going to even off. But right now, we're really getting to the early stages of fall off right now. But right now, everyone just trying to just manage their stuff and just manage for this long run, because with how everyone's racing so far, with everyone being single file, looks like this race does have an early long run feel to it.
Definitely has that long run feel to it, and it's going to be hard to pass, just like we talked about all night long. You're going to see drivers kind of fall into their rhythm, Dan, because this is kind of a rhythm track with short tracks. I mean, that's really how most short tracks are per se. So we'll have to see which drivers are going to fall into that rhythm per se, whether it be the medium, long run, short run, whatever it is. I mean, do you just want to kind of lay back and save the tires as much as you can and sacrifice track position, or do you go for what it's worth?
Nah, you really can't afford to go with track position, because it's just going to be so hard to get back later on in this race, because your handling is going to get a little bit worse, and it's just traffic is just going to become so hard to overcome unless you feel like you're very confident in your long run pace. Then you can maybe afford to give it up and then afford to maybe hopefully come back later on the race. But for right now, everyone's just biding their time. Everyone's just trying to just run their race. And right now, I'm not seeing really too much movement on the leaderboard right now. Just everyone is just doing their own thing. And right now, early doors, Brad Wright, he's looking pretty strong. He's closed the gap on Spencer Kostowitz a little bit here.
It's a slowly starting to reel him in just a little bit. Gap's about 3 to 4/10 of a second right now, starting to roll the bottom on turns 3 and 4. But Dan, one of those big things here they talked about on Sunday, you don't want to get below that yellow rumble strip. Was implemented for the IndyCar series when they used to come here a lot, so there was not really a lot of jockeying for position, not as many wrecks. They wanted to keep all the drivers on the track, man. What does it feel like when you do in fact get on those rumble strips? Because we know that rumble strips are a big thing with road course racing, but when you're on a short track, how does it affect the truck?
Yeah, definitely. I've actually done quite a few races here in Milwaukee over the years here on iRacing. And I remember there's a couple of years where I don't know if you may know this, but there was a series back when Podium Esports used to run a couple of years ago that was called the Podium Esports Elite Series. I remember I competed, one of our races was Milwaukee back when we had the Gen 6 car, back when it was in 2019 when we first had the 550 horsepower package, when we had the big spoiler, the big spoiler to every race we went to. And I remember racing Matt Busa. I remember he was leading. I was running second for most of that race. And I remember Matt Busa, particularly through turns 1 and 2, where you have like the pit road exit, he would drive into the corner as normal, but then he would drive all the way below the rumble strips and use that pit exit as part of the racetrack. And he actually was making really good time using that exit, getting good drive off. But of course, that was from nearly like 4 years ago. So much stuff has changed. The tires have changed. The way the handling of the vehicle changed. And plus, we're in a truck. We're not in a cup car. So, of course, this is probably a lot different. It's a lot harder to probably run that line, particularly in these trucks and how these guys have their trucks set up as well. So, but yeah, it's just something that's really intrigued me of the different lines you can run, particularly in turns 1 and 2 with that pit exit as well.
Sure, no doubt about that. Obviously, this is a track that's super flat. You see a lot of guys kind of diamond stuff on restarts, and even when they're trying to set up some passes on a medium to long length run, we might see that here, just like we might see Brad Wright get to the back of Spencer Kostowitz in just a minute. He has a rear view mirror full of a yellow Toyota Tundra here, down off turn number 4. Brad Wright looks to be faster than our leader Kostowitz into turn 1.
He looks to be faster. He looks to be closing in, but he really can't afford to really overheat his tires in Kostowitz's dirty air, because that is really easy to do. I learned that the hard way. I did a couple of C-Fix races here last week just because I've been trying to gain some safety rating back after having a bad Daytona week, because if I didn't get my safety rating up, I'd be losing my World Championship license. But I'm going to be losing here in a couple weeks anyway when I go back to the Contender Series. No need to talk about that. But anyway, as I've noticed racing in the trucks here last week, even though it was fixed setup, when you're running really close to somebody, it is very easy to burn up your front tires. So Brad Wright, he's got to be very careful about that as well. But who knows? His truck's been handling really good. He may not even have to worry about it if he can get up to Kostowitz, maybe lay the bumper to him, and maybe set up a pass as we're closing in on a quarter distance.
We saw in round 1 back at the Bristol Motor Speedway how fast James Wenzel and Anthony Burrows were, and Wenzel currently finds himself in 3rd. And Dan, we haven't really seen much of James Wenzel up at the front in recent weeks. I want to say probably since that Bristol race, and now he's doing very good there, currently sitting in the 3rd spot just in front of Eddie Kerner, trying to put down some ground on Wenzel. But this is a great run for the driver, that number 13.
Yeah, James Wetzel out of that Altus Esports cam, raced him a lot last year in the Road to Pro ladder. He was quick week in and week out, just like all the other Altus boys that got to race last year. And he's really needing a good night. Coming in with a drop, 24th in the points on our spreadsheet, 8 points off the cut. So he's going to need a big night to really close in on those points. And while we're at that, breaking the action, since there's really not a lot going on, we can talk about points a little bit, Jason. As I'm looking at the points as they're running, or well, not as they're running, this was coming into tonight's race. We have position 7 of Caden Rush to position 21 of James Holzer. And this is with a drop. They are separated by 11 points from P7 to P21. Like, I remember racing the Road to Pro, doing the Road to Pro stuff last year, and I don't even remember that being that close for that many positions. So a lot of people are really going to need to have some good nights, and they need to stay on top of their game for them to hold their spots in the points.
And obviously, too, we talk about it every single year at some point during the Road to Pro schedule with these trucks, whether it be round 1 to make the top 70 or round 2 when you're trying to get down to the nitty-gritty of it to make the Contender Series to get to that top 20. Everybody every year, Dan, always seems to say, oh, this is the closest it's been. No, for some reason, this has really been the closest it's been in quite some time. I mean, obviously, you just mentioned it, all the way from 7th of Rush, all the way back to James Holzer in 21st, all separated by 10 to 11 points. And that is absolutely crazy, knowing who could be in, who could be out. You could be in the safe zone inside that top 20 right now coming into this race. But once we get out of Homestead at the end of round 2, you could be out of this thing.
Absolutely, you're right there. And as we've been talking about, I've been keeping an eye on this battle right here for what is just outside the top 5. We haven't had this sort of group of trucks that have been closing in a little bit on Ray Alfala in the P5. Then you got Jack Crowder, Daniel Buttafuoco, Seth the Merchant, Agno Phillip all in this little battle. This is pretty much our closest battle on the racetrack inside the top 10 other than for the race lead. As we see Agno Phillip, he's trying to roll that inside, trying to get to the inside of Seth the Merchant. Not going to quite get there. But you see Daniel Buttafuoco trying to close in on Jack Crowder for looks to be P6 as they're going back to turn number 1.
Down into turn number 1 they go. Obviously, Daniel Buttafuoco, one of those drivers who's been so dominant this year. Agno Phillip as well, been a very strong driver. They're seeming to heat up that battle just a little bit. And Dan, we talked about tires earlier. If you do, in fact, get side by side with a guy here at a short track like this, with how flat it is, how old the surface is, and how much tire degradation there is, like we see right here coming up for a pass. That is Seth the Merchant trying to look underneath Buttafuoco, nearly some contact into turn 1. When you do get side by side, how long do you want to be side by side with that guy before your tires really start to feel the heat?
You can't afford to be hanging on the outside for too long, because this past Tuesday night we raced at Dover in the Coke Series. Well, our car actually felt pretty good, but the problem is I got stuck on the outside lane racing Derek Justice, I believe, for like 10 or so laps, and that cooked my tires to the ground because I was trying to play a long game strategy, but unfortunately with me being hung on the outside, overworking my tire, trying to battle for position, ended up blowing my right front tire out. And then of course when I go to pit road, the caution comes out. So if it's those little things like that, if I could have not had that happen, I could have been in a better spot to finish better on Tuesday night. It's just the little things like that. It's just managing your tires for a long run, for a long green flag run like what we're getting right now. We're going to see a battle for P number 6, which is Daniel Buttafuoco going down the inside of Jackson Crowder. They're going to remain side by side, just what we were talking about. Crowder doesn't want to be on that outside for too long because he's going to go backwards, or he needs to try to get a hole in behind Buttafuoco if he can. Buttafuoco's got to clear for P6. And now there's going to be a battle for P7 as Seth the Merchant's going to look down the inside, followed by Agno Phillip. Jackson Crowder going the wrong direction.
And he's stuck up on that dreaded outside lane we talked about. He'll drift higher and higher up off the corner. Crowder seemingly sliding back, not 1, not 2, but 3 positions, getting passed by Agno Phillip. He'll now fall into the clutches of Cody Harris, who's back by about a car length or so off turn number 2. Jackson Crowder trying to look to rebound, currently sitting P9. A lot of single file racing out here as it's just a mind game and a driver's rhythm track for sure tonight, Dan.
Yeah, for sure. Right now, everything's still looking nice and smooth. Going off of turn number 4, you got, I kind of want to look down the running order here a little bit, as really nothing has really too much changed inside the top 10. Everyone who started inside the top 10 continues to run in the top 10. You got Kostowitz, Brad Wright, James Wetzel, Eddie Kerner, Ray Alfala, Daniel Buttafuoco, Seth the Merchant, Agno Phillip, Jack Crowder, Cody Harris. They all started in the top 10. They all remain in the top 10. So, and then we've really had very little movement through the field. I'd say our biggest movement through the field thus far is you have to go all the way back to Max Brady. Started in the 25th position up to 18, has gained 7 spots so far in this race. So he's making a little bit of quick work right now.
Doing a great job, driver of that number 7 machine, currently in 17th, trying to make his way up, seemingly just like everybody else here tonight, knowing how hard it is to pass here. You're looking at Max Brady currently as he works his way off turn number 4, trying to get to Johnny Avila off the corner, now down into turn number 3, trying to set up possibly a pass, closing in on that rear bumper of that number 10 machine. And also right behind Max Brady is John Jenkins in that number 12 as well, so maybe a battle heating up here pretty soon.
Speaking of a battle heating up, we got the battle for inside the top 5 between Daniel Buttafuoco and Ray Alfala. We've seen this all year from Daniel Buttafuoco. He has some decent qualifying runs, but he always goes forward in the race. As he's about to crack the top 5 for the first time, put the number 13 JDR machine into the top 5.
number 13 JDR machine does, in fact, get to the top 5. We saw something similar out of him when we went to IRP just about 4 weeks ago. Started mid-pack somehow, some way, was able to work his way up to the front split 2 and finished inside the top 10 or top 5, something like that. But Daniel Buttafuoco seemingly just as fast as always every single week. And now Ray Alfala under attack from Seth DeMerchant. Also Agno Phillip working on the bottom of the eNASCAR champion of Ray Alfala off turn 4.
Alfala gonna be a little loose coming off of turn number 4, a little bit of a wiggle. That's gonna allow Agno Phillip to get the job done. As they're actually catching a lap car right here in the number 31. Hard to tell who that is. That is Jesse Kaplan. Jesse Kaplan, he's going a lap down. Really, with one of the only, he has the only truck a lap down. So if he can get a caution right here, he can get back on the lead lap. But it's gonna be very hard to do that with everyone single file throughout this field. But so far Ray Alfala was right there in 5th, and then just lost a couple of spots getting hung in that outside lane.
And you got to think to yourself, Dan, which of these drivers are... whoa, big slide right behind the leaders. I want to say that might have been...
Double Jack Coyne is around at turn number 1, and the 31's around. Tommy Gossett is around. We got Big Bass down at turn number 1. You were looking at one thing, I was looking at another. We got chaos here on lap 40.
And now with this caution being presented, the opportunity for pit stops slowly approaching as they pace their way under caution here on lap 40. Trouble going into turn number 1. Jack Coyne in the 20 machine look to the inside here of the number 3 Mountain Dew car. Not sure who that is, but you see Jack Tommy Gossett, and that number 3, Darrell Waltrip, Dale Jr. throwback. It looks like Tommy Gossett here, Dan, coming into the corner. The 52 or the 20, you could say, of Jack Coyne was really low, but Tommy Gossett kind of seemingly just kind of slowly closed the door, chopped the nose of that 20 machine, and ultimately Jack Coyne goes around. Tommy Gossett slides up the track. You also said another driver, that 31 machine, the lap truck of Jesse Kaplan, also involved as well into turn 1.
Yeah, I was talking about that lucky dog that he was going to get if a yellow comes out. He ain't going to get it now. But, just Tommy got really loose. Jack Coyne kind of made a little bit of a late move into turn 1, but he did have the position underneath. But Tommy, he just came down there just at the last second. Just a bit of a racing deal. Jack made a late move. Tommy Gossett was just taking his line, and they just all met in the middle right there as we got pit stops. And right now, with them pitting here under caution, they are good the rest of the way on fuel.
And they will be good the rest of the way on the fuel, but the question's going to be is who can survive the longest on the set of tires. Race off pit road looks to be maybe that 26 machine. Spencer Kostowitz holding that top spot like he's done pretty much all race long. Couple other guys out as well. No mistakes really on pit road from the looks of it. But Dan, now with the opportunity of another restart and guys knowing how their trucks handle, do you think we're going to see a lot more passing here, maybe a little bit more chaos on this restart, knowing how hard it is to pass here at the Milwaukee Mile tonight?
I don't know. There's going to be a lot of... Actually, before we get to that, I see Michael P. Fresh coming back to pit road. I guess he missed his pit stall.
Yeah.
Was running in the 16th, 15th position before all this. But now the problem is he's going to go all the way to the back of the field. I might have to look back at that, but I guess he just missed his pit stall. So now he had doing a lot of hard work in the early part of the race. He's got to do it all again now. But as I was going back to my point about restarts, this guy takes me back to the Coke race. This was the exact same way. We had a long green flag run to start around, and then we got to around halfway. We got a caution, and then it was just restart after restart after restart. We just kept wrecking. That we eventually had to go to single file restarts. So, that was quite a time several months ago. But there are going to be no single file restarts. No single file restarts tonight. It's just going to be double file all the way through. So expect these restarts to get a little bit messy, but got to see beers. Let's see what's going to happen. As Jesse Kaplan, he didn't get the lucky dog there, so he's going to take advantage of this wave around here and try to catch another yellow because he's going to be way off cycle compared to everyone else.
For sure, and obviously these guys are going to want to fight and claw for every single piece of real estate here tonight. And Dan, if you really think about it, this kind of tracks back to about 4 weeks ago at IRP, where it was so hard to pass. The top side was very, very dominant, but the track was also a lot tighter, a lot smaller. Do you think there's any similarity with how the racing was at IRP 4 weeks ago to tonight's race at Milwaukee?
I definitely see some differences back at IRP with how much tighter of a track that is. A lot of people prefer to run the outside, like try to have more of a diamond around the outside. But here, you're just running it right around the bottom, trying to keep your left sides on the white paint as much as you can. But it's very different here in Milwaukee because the corners aren't really that symmetrical. You gotta, they're very shaped in a way. It's so weird. It's really hard to describe. They're just shaped in a weird way. You got so many bumps that like to catch you out, particularly off a turn before. There's a big old bump that likes to catch you out. That gives people a lot of issues. It's given me a lot of issues in the past. As you see, as they're coming around, right there at the end of that rumble strip is right where that bump is. That tricks a lot of people out. We'll see if that's going to mess anybody up here on this restart. We're going green.
The final green flag restart of the night? Question mark? Well, we're about to find out. Green flag's back out in the air. Kostowitz leading them down into turn number 1 with Brad Wright, who was hunting him down before that caution, all over his back bumper, this time off turn number 2. And looks like Kostowitz slid up just a little bit. Wright able to get to the back bumper. More passing in the back. Here comes Brendan Neal. He's trying to make a move to the inside as well. Saw 3 wide up towards the front of the pack, but everybody so far so lead on this restart.
We got some 3 wide action. I believe that's Kyler Wynn looking down the inside 3 wide. He's going to try to make that work going down into turn number 1. And everyone's trying to keep it straight here. We've got our first side-by-side battle for a round. It looks to be P6 between Agnew Phillips, Seth the Merchant. But here goes Kwame Scott. He's looking down the inside of Seth the Merchant. Made a pass on Ray Alfala. He's going to continue making moves. Also, Max Brady back there. He's trying to crack the top 10, our biggest mover of the race.
Everybody knowing how important track position is tonight, trying to get everything they can. You look at Kwame Scott currently trying to work to the inside of Seth the Merchant, loses that position just by about a bumper. Heading into turn number 1, they still race side by side, and behind Kwame Scott you have eNASCAR champion Ray Alfala waiting in the wings inside the top 10. Michigan's winner Blaze Crawford, he's worked to the top 10. Whoa, what a block by Ray Alfala. Looked like Crawford was going to go to the bottom there, and then he thought about it, switched lanes, went to the top. We'll see if it works for Crawford as he battles Alfala heading into 1.
Yeah, you're going to bob it to the inside? Fine. I'm going to go around the outside, and look at him. He's going to make it work around the top side. He's going to try to get this position off of turn number 2. They're going to remain side-by-side for that 9th position. Blaze Crawford going to try to get the run off the corner using that outside momentum as we got a coach on the racetrack. Big chunk in the back. Can't tell who that is. But we got a chunk in the back that's going to ring out the caution.
Ryan Hill involved in the number 27. Looks to be John Jenkins, possibly, maybe Tommy Gossett. A couple of other guys as well. So, yes, it does look like John Jenkins, Ryan Hill, 2 of the guys involved. Possibly Tommy Gossett, Tanner Love, possibly. We'll have to see as we kick it back to a replay. Coming off turn number 2, here's Jack Coyne. Gets loose. This is a little bit further back. Oh, my goodness. What a hit right there. Taking another look. There's
it all started. Yeah, sorry. So I wanted to say it all started with John Jenkins and Austin Johnson for around the 17th position. That's where it really all kicked off. A little bump from Austin Johnson to John Jenkins that sent him around, and then there's everyone behind us going every which way to avoid him. As we can go back on the replay here, we can see going through turns number 1 and 2, Austin Johnson getting into the back of Austin Johnson getting into the back of John Jenkins. Sorry, it's kind of playing the tongue twister on me a little bit, but as you can see right there at the left of your screen, you're going to see Austin Johnson just barely tap John Jenkins. It's going to send him around, and then you got everyone else going every which way, and then Tommy Gossett, second straight incident. He's been involved in an incident and just nowhere to go for that number 3 machine.
Nowhere to go for sure. You could say arguably the first caution that he was involved in his sense, was kind of his fault, kind of not his fault, and then ultimately right here, just a victim of somebody else's doing there. And Austin Johnson obviously made the front bumper contact with the driver and sent him around, but now that brings us under caution, obviously, here as we're just approaching the halfway mark. And if you like everything that you've been seeing tonight, folks, here, watching this eNASCAR Road to Pro coverage here on FTN, I want to remind you, if you want to sign up for all the latest updates, you can scan the QR code coming up on your screen to get the latest iRacing and eNASCAR news. If you do, in fact, scan the QR code, you can sign up for the eNASCAR newsletter and get all the latest updates and offers. And if you like the racing that you're seeing tonight here as well and have an interest in starting your sim racing career, you can go to iRacing.com right now and sign up for 40% off 40% off. Where else could you find that good of a deal for a new member? So what are you waiting for? Why don't you go to iRacing.com today, check out the sim world, and scan that QR code for all your latest info, updates, and offers for the eNASCAR newsletter. As we are on lap 51 here, Dan, this has been a pretty interesting race tonight. We've seen a little bit of everything, some battles, but so far nobody been able to top Spencer Kostowitz up at the front of the field.
Yeah, he has been on the point right from the top of the green as we have just crossed the halfway point here tonight. Definitely been the truck to beat, and he's had that privilege of having the clean air too. Really, Brad Wright's really been his only challenger. And right now, if we can get another long green flag run, I wouldn't be surprised that Brad Wright may be Kostowitz's biggest challenge as we get down to the end of this thing. But yeah, just gonna have to wait and see. But now we're getting down to the point of the race. We're in the second half of the race. Everyone's not gonna be really cutting any breaks for anybody. Everyone's gonna be a lot more aggressive. Gonna be a lot more 3-wide moves in a turn one. These restarts gonna get really, really hectic as we have gotten the one to go signal. It's really all about to kick off here, Jason.
Yeah, and they're coming around right now. Now under halfway, going to be restarting with 48 laps to go. Looks like this time by Spencer Kostowitz, Brad Wright, going to be restarting on the front row. Eddie Kerner and Daniel Buttafuoco. What do you know? The points leader looking to try to steal one away tonight from Spencer Kostowitz. And Brad Wright, who's been able to challenge Kostowitz on these restarts, just not enough to get around him. Kwame Scott back in 7th. He's been making some great moves tonight. Blaze Crawford, your Michigan winner. Max Brady, one of the biggest movers, if not the biggest mover of the race as well. So a lot of guys trying to maximize their points and make sure they could possibly get locked in or end up safe leaving the Milwaukee Mile tonight. We head to Bristol Dirt in 2 weeks, and after that, 2 weeks, we round out the season at Homestead. Coming to the restart zone this time, Kostowitz launches out like a cannonball from a cannon. He'll lead him down into turn number 1. Brad Wright, he's had a peek on him for a second from Eddie Kerner. Kerner slides up into Buttafuoco off turn number 2. It's all Kostowitz, though, with the field battling behind him.
Buttafuoco trying to make that top work on Eddie Kerner. Couldn't quite make it work. He's going to drop down to the inside in P4. And you got Seth the Merchant, James Wetzel, 2 Alta C Sports trucks battling side by side. Seth the Merchant trying to make that top work. Trying to get up to Agnew Phillip. Ain't going to quite get there. The Alta C Sports trucks are going to remain side by side as we head down to turn number 1. As we look at Ray Alfalo, Blaze Crawford battling down to turn number 1. That is for the 9th position. Blaze Crawford, he's been doing some work in this race, moving up through the field. It's been a good race for him as they can work their way off turn number 2. Down the back straightaway, Spencer Kostowitz continues to lead.
Looks like Kwame Scott right there for just a second, slid right in front of Blaze Crawford and Ray Alfalo. He'll slam that door. That was for the 8th spot. They worked this time by off turn number 4, 46 laps to go. This time by, you see Seth DeMerchant. He's under fire from James Wenzel. They'll get back single file, riding on the rear decklet. He's got a bumper full of James Wenzel this time off turn number 2. Wenzel looking to try to pounce on the Merchant, currently trying to get into the 6th spot.
Right, get to that 6th spot indeed, as everyone inside the top 10 has sorted themselves out. The first battle we got looks to be for P13 between what looks to be Michael Venable and Cody Harris heading back down to turn number 1. They're going to remain side by side. Our first side by side battle going to continue down into turn number 1. Michael Venable going to get that spot, as that's going to open the door for Jackson Crowder to try to get that spot on Cody Harris for B14 down the back straightaway.
Jackson Crowder, one of those guys who was up towards the front a little bit earlier on in this race. Now that we're more than halfway through, he's kind of slid back. One at Dover and also another track earlier on this season in Road to Pro back in round number 1. So you know he's always going to be fast, currently in the 14th position. You look at Kevin Champagne trying to look to the inside of that would be Kyler Wynn in the number 17 machine. Everybody's still wrapping the bottom, Dan. I want to say after about 2, 3, maybe 4 laps, you have to get to that bottom, because if you're on that outside, you're like a sitting duck, kind of like super speedways, where if you're not in the draft, you're going all the way to the back.
So we actually got a change of position. Welcome to the podium. Daniel Buttafuoco actually got his way around Eddie Kerner. I actually had to go back and look at that. It looks like Buttafuoco, he actually apologized to Eddie over the radio. There was a little bit of contact off of turn number 2, got him a little loose, sent Eddie Kerner into a slide. He apologized over the radio. It's all good. But move Daniel Buttafuoco, he's been pretty fast. He's been notorious all season long for having all right qualifying runs, sometimes not so good qualifying runs, but driving through the field every single time. He's up to the podium positions. Maybe he can be a late challenger to Kostowitz and Brad Wright.
To see Daniel Buttafuoco's best lap time, 29.918, to Kostowitz's 29.769. So we'll have to see if Daniel Buttafuoco's long run speed is just as good as Spencer Kostowitz, because that's basically where he's been all night long, flag to flag. Brad Wright has had opportunities to pass him on restarts, just hasn't had the opportunity. But once we did have that last long green flag run, Dan, Brad Wright looked like he was catching Kostowitz. Who knows what would have happened if that did in fact go green?
Well, we're going to see what's going to happen because these guys have had an opportunity to pit. They might have had to make some adjustments. It looks like Brad Wright, he's looking a little bit stronger on this short run here. He looks closer than he did on the short run before. He's trying to do all he can to get to Spencer Kostowitz, and he's only got 41 to go to see if he can get to the back bumper of that 98 machine on your screen. Battle for P1 continues as Daniel Buttafuoco. As you see, he has pulled away from Eddie Kerner, and he's actually closing in, been one of the fastest trucks on the racetrack the last time by, doing all he can to get there.
Looking like it could be a 3-truck battle for the lead here. Just under 40 laps to go now, practically. Now this time they'll hit 39. Wright still trying to work to the back bumper. Notice, Dan, last time around when they went into turn number 3, Brad Wright had a really good entry, just like he did right there. Seems like his speed compared to Kostowitz is better on entry, and Kostowitz is better than Wright off exit. Well, we'll have to see as this run progresses if we do, in fact, go all the way the distance now under 40 laps to go to see which one of these 3 drivers is going to end up on top.
Definitely going to be interesting to see as we work our way down to the end of this race. As just looking down through our field here, our biggest mover of the race so far continues to be Max Brady. Started in the 25th position, and he is in P11, looking right, trying to get into the top 10. It's been a great run for that number 17 machine, trying to work in the top 10 behind his teammate Blaze Crawford, trying to get around Rail Fallow as well.
These 2 teammates slowly starting to work their way up. Obviously, Max Brady has been so fast, Dan, from the start of round 1 to this race in round 2. I think Max Brady has definitely been one of the most improved drivers. Usually you see him kind of a little bit over aggressive, and usually kind of somehow, some way finds himself in other people's messes, sometimes messes created by himself. But as this season has progressed with Road to Pro, he's been a driver who, no doubt about it, has been one of the most improved, going from mid-pack all the way to the front. Could have contended for a win in Texas back in round 1. And also, you can name other races where this number 17 machine, 7 on your screen, has been very fast this season.
Finished second last 2 weeks ago in Michigan with his teammate Daniel Buttafuoco, finished in P1 over on the FTF split, and right now closing in on that back bumper also of the JDR Graphics/SRD machine of Blaze Crawford. Max Brady in that Carlos Pizza machine trying to make some moves into the top 10 here. As we continue to look up and down the field, everyone just remains single file. Really nothing happening right now. Everyone just trying to go through the motions and trying to finish this race out. And the question is, can we remain under green, or are we going to have more cautions to really spice things up? As this battle for the lead, it's still getting closer and closer. Brad Wright trying to get to the bumper, Spencer Kostowitz. And just thinking, if he gets here, will he use the bumper? And as I say that, the caution comes out right as I was talking about it. Commentators curse much. Tommy Gossett for the 3rd time tonight. The Outlaw is in trouble once again down in turn number 3. We're going to have to get a replay on that one.
Yeah, I saw really quickly, Dan, when you were talking, I saw Tommy Gossett. It looks like Brendan Meal kind of started very quickly go down our timing and scoring sheet. We're going to look down the back straight away.
This started ahead of him.
Yeah, this started ahead of him. Looks like it. Oh, no. A little bit of contact. Can't tell exactly who that is, but it started with the 40 or 48 truck.
Yeah, Brendan Meal.
Guys get involved. And look at that. There's the 3 machine. Tommy Gossett involved. Man, this is going to be a night that he's going to want to forget here.
Yeah, it's going to be a night to forget for Mitchell Hunt as well. Brendan Meal, Mitchell Hunt, and then John Jenkins almost caught up in this as well. It's been a really round to forget for Tommy Gossett. After how he performed last season, he was 3 points away from making it to the Contender Series last season. He had a lot of high hopes coming into this season, but really came in outside the top 40 coming into tonight. It's just not been the season for him, as we got everybody is coming to pit road for 4 tires and fuel.
Yeah, everybody comes to pit road this time for 4 fresh Goodyear tires.
Oh.
And Spencer Kostowitz is going to get beat out of the pits by Brad Wright, and that could be the race-winning move that could make Brad Wright get to victory lane tonight. Had a great entry, great pit stop, great exit. He gets out in front. Spencer Kostowitz came out second, Buttafuoco third, Michael Venable fourth, Eddie Kerner currently fifth driver off pit road now with 34 laps to go. So heads up driving by Brad Wright. And I guess why we're under caution right now, I'll give you a little update on split one here. They just hit 29 laps to go. Taylor Hurst, your leader over Daniel Smallwood by 0.3 of a second. Kind of really close up there. Anthony Burrows in third, Boyd Hogan fourth, Briar LaPrade fifth, Navarro sixth, Brian Mercurio seventh, Hunter Johnson in eighth, Matthew Zwack ninth, and Kolonix in 10th there. And that is your running order for split number one as Spencer Kostowitz loses the race off of pit road. Unbelievable here, Dan. With 33 laps to go, you just cannot have that kind of mistake here at a track where it's been so hard to pass.
Yeah, I don't think it was really any mistake looking back at the pit side, but it was just Brad Wright just had a faster pit time and was able to beat Kostowitz right out of the pits. And also summing up here, we got our new challenger at the front, Michael Venable. 2 tires on that pit stop, went from 13th to 4th. So we're going to see how that's going to shake out for that 21 machine, but we're going to see how long. Try to get that track position. Going to depend on many more yellows, but who knows? Maybe he has a good enough truck to keep it up there because he's just been hanging around the top 15 all night long. So we're really going to see how this works. I think we've had a couple of 2 tires. I believe Jack Coyne had a 2-tire pit stop. From what I've noticed, he was down back of the field, but he's moved up a lot. He's moved up the field a lot too. So guys, we've got some variant pit strategies. We get down to the. Actually, as I say this, Jesse Kaplan stayed out on the racetrack. I can't believe it took me this long to realize because I thought he was a lap down getting away round. But guys, Jesse Kaplan stayed out on the racetrack. He's going to be the race leader when we go back green. If this didn't get chaotic enough, watch out for this restart.
We're going to have to see right here Jesse Kaplan on 18-lap older tires compared to the field. Saw the other night was calling a Truck Series race here with open setups at the Milwaukee Mile. And boy, oh boy, if you had 10-lap older tires, you were going to the back. We'll have to see how Jesse Kaplan in that 31 F-150 does on this restart. But it's going to be Kaplan, Wright, Kostowitz, Buttafuoco, Venable, Eddie Kerner. First 3 rows. Pace car sedan is in. Green flags back out in the air. This time 31 laps to go. Jesse Kaplan, and here comes Buttafuoco. He'll dive onto the inside with Spencer Kostowitz trying to make quick work of Jesse Kaplan. He'll fall all the way to the back on the top side off to battle for the lead between Kostowitz and Wright.
3 and 4 wide in the back, Jesse Kaplan. I don't know what he was doing there. If he was just going to just stand there, just pull out of the way, I don't know what the purpose of that was. But anyway, battle for the lead. Brad Wright, he looked to be set sailing to get the lead, but now he's having a battle around the outside of Spencer Kostowitz, as here goes Daniel Buttafuoco in P3 as well. Wright around the outside, trying to hold Kostowitz tight on the bottom, trying to carry the momentum around the top. Can he get it done off of turn number 2 this time? Still side by side down the back straightaway, but watch out for Buttafuoco. Could he make a 3-wide move down into turn number 1 next time by? Have to wait and see as they're coming to complete lap number 70. There's a lap 71, I should say.
Here they come off turn number 4. Buttafuoco, you see him a little bit wobble there, trying to get the most out of the truck. He'll get a fender in on the left rear quarter panel of Wright heading into turn 1. Kostowitz goes back to the lead due to Jesse Kaplan staying out. Brad Wright could fall a victim here to Buttafuoco's fast truck. They work side by side down the back straightaway. Venable, Demergent, Phillip right behind them. Buttafuoco sends it deep into the corner with Wright chopping off the front nose of Michael Venable off into turns 3 and 4. And here comes Buttafuoco up to second, chasing down Spencer Kostowitz into 1 as we have a yellow.
Caution back on the racetrack, and it's Tommy Gossett once again for the 4th time tonight. This reminds me of Matt Kenseth at New Hampshire in 2020. Just got caught up in so many incidents, but it really wasn't his fault either, because once again, just Tommy Gossett, just the innocent bystander for the 3rd wreck in a row. Really nothing he could have done. As we see, as we're going to look at the replay here, we've had multiple incidents happen that brought this up. It was the 40 machine once again of Brandon Meal. getting into Logan Helton. Logan Helton hasn't had the night he's been familiar with. Like, he's had so many runs, but just really hasn't been up at the front where we usually see. It's just innocent contact between the 40 of Mile and Jake Nichols. Just gets into Logan Helton. And then Tommy Goss hits the inside wall. Brandon Mile on the outside wall. Just so many instances going on. And Tommy Gossett, I think Tommy Gossett, he has pulled it behind the wall. His night is unfortunately over. It's been a rough one for that number 3 machine.
Definitely has, no doubt about it, for Tommy Gossett. A night that he's going to want to try to not lose sleep over here in round 2 for the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying series. As Spencer Kosowitz, though, this is going to be a night where he's going to want to stay up all night long and party with the boys if, in fact, he does get this victory, because this has been a strong run for Spencer Kosowitz, driver of the number 96 machine. So we'll see how he can do right here. I mean, he came into the points here, Dan, looking at it, 36th currently from what it looks like on the race leaderboard. So this would be a great night for the driver of the 26 if he just can hang on for 26 more laps and bring this home.
Yeah, you gotta be just kicking yourself if you're Brad Wright. Well, not really kicking yourself, just thinking, what if? You get the lead off pit road on part of the most important pit stop of the entire race, and then you got someone who stays out, unfortunately, that just, you go from the lead, think you're going to win this thing, and now you are going to have to do the work all over again, which he's now down to P3. He's now got to deal with Kosowitz again, but he's got to deal with Buttafuoco, who's in front of him now. And then Michael Venable, he's been hanging on to 2 tires. I've noticed Austin Johnson's up in P7. I think he took 2 tires as well. So he was running near the bag. He got caught up in one of those incidents. So a lot of these guys playing some pit strategy, and the more we have these cautions, it's actually been working out so far.
Too, Dan, we did see some pit strategy back at IRP, had a few late cautions, obviously, with how chaotic that short track can be out in the Indiana area. And sure enough, it's been like that for us here, but more towards the back half of the field compared to the front. Do you think maybe we're going to see some of these guys try their hardest to go for this race lead, like Daniel Buttafuoco? He's safe on points right now, but do you think that he has anything to lose here on this restart, or do you think he goes for this restart as hard as he, or go for the lead here as hard as he can on the restart?
For me, Buttafuoco, I don't think he's got anything to lose, because with him in the points, he's the points leader coming into tonight, and even his worst finish of the season is 4th place. He has finished top 5 in every single race this season, and so even if he has a bad race tonight, that could be his drop. So really, as long as he just comes home, brings home another solid finish, like, he effectively should be locked into the Contender Series after tonight's race. But remember, these two have a bit of a history. Remember what happened in Mid-Ohio back on FTF, where these two had a little beating and banging last lap after some lap cars interfered. Don't think there's going to be any lap cars interfering tonight. So it's going to be good to see what's going to happen between these two, giving us another showdown once again.
We'll have to see, say the least, here about this. They're getting ready to come to the restart zone. Obviously, Buttafuoco, 4 top 5s all year. The only one who's been able to capture all top 10s this season has been Brian Mercurio, 4 for 4. They're getting ready to come down into the restart zone this time by. Green flags in the air. 24 laps to go from the beloved Milwaukee Mile. And wow, Michael Venable set it down there into turn number 1. Nearly up, big wreck in the back.
Rail foul, turned into the outside wall, and there's no caution! No caution! We stayed green as there was contact in the back. Everyone's going every which way. I can't believe they saved it. What is happening here, Jason?
I cannot believe this. The 13th seed coming into tonight. One of the guys everybody expected to have a good run was seemingly... we got there. That's just the replay. My mistake. But here's Ray Alfala. What a heartbreaker for him. Into the corner. Simply just gets run into the back of, but due to him keeping it straight right against the outside wall. Surprised, though, Dan, that there wasn't no caution for that, but by iRacing standards, he kept it straight, never really run around. So that's probably why we're staying green here coming to 22 to go.
Yeah, that actually, I'm surprised. I thought he went head on to the wall, but thankfully he was able to keep it straight. He did a very good job keeping minimal damage on that truck. That looked way worse when he went off my monitor here. But looking at the replay, they all saved it and collected it back up. But that's going to hit Ray hard in the points. That's going to probably be one of his drop weeks, unfortunately. Can't have that at this part of the season. But anyway, back up front, Spencer Kosowitz. I was going to say, I don't know if Brad Wright just timed the restart that good, or unless he and Kosowitz just had a plan to get a good restart right there. But Anyways, back down the front straightaway is them two, 1 and 2 once again. Daniel Buttafuoco, Michael Venable set the Merchant the top 5 as they're going through turns 1 and 2 as they come back to the stripe this time, Jason. It is going to be 20 laps remaining.
I guess you could usually say they always call it the Craftsman or the Camping World 20 to go when it was the Truck Series. I guess we could call it the eNASCAR 20 to go this time by Spencer Kostowitz still leading, but Brad Wright all over the rear bumper, or you could say the tailgate of that number 26 machine down into turn number 1. Wright trying to keep himself away from Daniel Buttafuoco. Seemingly enough has done that, and he is trying to pressure Spencer Kostowitz into a mistake. Dan, do we possibly see the bumper used just a little bit? Know how sensitive these trucks can be if you give a little tap to the bumper. But hey, we've seen it before. Will we see it later on in this race if it's presented?
We're going to have to see. Patience starting to run out for a lot of these guys as we see our first side-by-side battle. I'm really thrilled of watching this battle for the lead, but we got a battle back here for P12, our first side-by-side battle on the track. You got Blaze Crawford now just passing Kwame Scott, and now you got Chris Hill going down the inside for what looks to be P number 13. We got battles all over the racetrack as Chris Hill, he's now going to look down the inside Kwame Scott. Kwame Scott, not a great restart. He's lost a few spots here. He was 11th. Now he's back down to 12th, back down to 13th. Now his teammate Johnny Avila, he's looking for a spot on him. But Kwame Scott, he should get clear. He's going to get back in line.
They all get side by side. Meanwhile, a little bit up towards the front, James Wenzel trying to pass what looked to be Austin Johnson, I believe, heading into turn number 1. Seemingly he's gotten that through. Down the back straightaway, they head down. You see James Wenzel just made the pass on him. Now you have Jackson Crowder battling with Austin Johnson behind him, trying to lay the bumper down off 4.
And Austin Johnson, he's going to do the crossover going into turn number 1. He's going to try to get back down the inside as Jackson Crowder, he's going to slam the door shut right in front of his face. Put Austin Johnson back down to 10th position. I believe he is on 2 tires as well, so he's just trying to hang on for all he can as he's got 2 NFR drivers chasing him down in Max Brady and Blaze Crawford, and another Alta C Sports truck, Chris Hill, right behind him. As we got a battle for P number 4, Seth the Merchant. He's just completed a pass on Michael Venable. He's on 2 tires as well. His tire might be starting to fade on those worn-out left side tires, but he's doing all he can to hold his position now as Agno Phillip. He's going to look down the inside here to turn number 1. Can't quite get there. He's going to try to set up his move down for turn number 3.
And Venable nearly almost lost that position for just a split second. Eddie Kerner, or I should say Agno Phillip, that is, looked down to the inside, but you saw Venable just being able to close that door. He's got a mirror full of Agno Phillip, also Eddie Kerner, and then back behind them, James Wenzel, who slotted back into the 8th spot down into turn number 1. You see Venable still trying to hold these guys all at bay, trying to just make the most he can out of those 2 tires. You see Agno Phillip went a little bit up the racetrack, down the back straightaway. We'll see if he sets up a pass here, possibly out of turn 4, trying to get the exit that he wants as they work their way now with 14 laps to go.
Yeah, you never see Michael Venable, a little loose off turn 4. You can see he is starting to struggle just a little bit on those 2 tires. As Agno Phillip's going to peek his nose in there, try to get some cleaner on that nose, try to get as much clean air, as much downforce on the front of that truck as much as he can. Trying to create a run, got a little bit more grip than Venable. He's a little loose once again, but right now just cannot set anything up going down to turn number 3 as they're creating a little bit of trade because you got Eddie Kerner, James Wetzel, and Jackson Crowder all closing in on this battle.
And this is like a nose-to-tail, etc. battle going on as they head off turn number 4. You look at Wenzel, tried to look to the inside, and it looks like Eddie Kerner nearly gave up that position. It looks like James Wenzel had just a good enough run to get to the outside, but it just wasn't enough there as Kerner was able to slam the door. They head back down the back straightaway. You see Agno Phillip trying to make a move to the bottom of Michael Venable, this time into turn number 3, and he might just get the position here, possibly off turn number 4.
He's got the position, he's got the grip, and he's got the pass made going down into turn number 1 and see if Eddie Kerner can try to follow through. Put Agno Phillip back into the top 5. Eddie Kerner going to hug down the inside lane, try to get to the inside of Michael Venable. Venable just trying to hang on here on those 2 tires. But even though he may lose a couple of positions, if he can just stay right where he is, great pitch strategy, great call compared to where he is running right around the 15th, 14th position. If he can just hang on for just what should be 11 more laps when they get to the stripe this time by.
11 more laps, and the gap up at the front. Spencer Kostowitz, Brad Wright, it has dwindled between 0.18 seconds to 2/10. So we'll see here as they run down with 10 laps to go, who is going to get the better of one another. Will it be Wright? Will it be Kostowitz? Can Buttafuoco somehow pull something out of the magic hat and make it work? Can it be Seth the Merchant, who's quietly worked his way up inside the top 5 this time by off turn number 4? 10 laps to go for eNASCAR Road to Pro Night in America. Kostowitz has a back bumper full of Brad Wright yet again here off turn number 2. Dan, it's just so hard to pass here late in the going with a little bit worn out tires for Brad Wright.
Yeah, just he's trying to fight for all he can. They had another round of, I don't know if they made any more adjustments on that last pit stop they had. Brad Wright proving, see if he can get out front. I wonder what would have happened if he could have kept that lead, if Jesse Kaplan is there, if he could have held that lead. Could he have maybe driven away? We're not sure, but he's doing all he can. As we got a little battle brewing up for third place. Seth the Merchant has closed in on Buttafuoco. He's trying to get that third spot away. Trying to get to the bumper of that number 13 truck as we're coming to, looks like 8 laps to go. Seth the Merchant, he wants a podium position to round this thing out.
He would love to get himself a podium position and make Daniel Buttafuoco tie his worst finish of the round 2 season, which would be the 4th spot. That Buttafuoco truck has been so fast all of round 2, and sure enough, looks like it's going to be
caution.
This changes everything, Dan. 8 laps to go, and we have a late race yellow. Have to see who it was.
A 40 again. It was Meal again.
No.
Meal and John Jenkins again. It's been a reoccurring theme. It's been a lot of the same people just getting involved in these incidents tonight. But we're going to have to look at the replay here. And it's just like what's going on FTF. They've had a late race yellow. They're going into overtime right now. I guess we're getting that overtime feel here in Road Pro, I guess. But we can quickly bring up a replay here. We got, as we come off turn number 4, coming at the end of lap 92, Brandon Meal just got a tap from John Jenkins coming off of turn number 4. And, yep, he's going to hook him right there. But it's John Jenkins who really gets the worst end of the deal. He fully goes around, and that's enough to trigger the caution flag.
This is going to be interesting, Dan. Caution out with 8 laps to go late in the going. We've seen a lot of wrecks from the back half of the field, and now with it being the highest point of what they call crunch time, do you think we're possibly going to see any type of strategy here?
Let's see.
We'll have to see.
And we're going to stay out.
Man, that was a big tease by Spencer Kostowitz. He could have been pulling a Chase Elliott, Alan Gustafson moment from the 2020 Coca-Cola 600, where you dominate a race towards the end, coming to the pit. Next thing you know, everybody stays out. But thankfully, looks like nobody else decided to pit right there. But now this opens up the door for obviously big moves on these restarts, Dan. What do you expect out of these guys up towards the front, knowing that a Road to Pro win and a lot of points are on the line?
Yeah, we got a couple of guys pitting from the back. Kyler Wynn, Jake Nichols, Ray Alfala, Cody Harris. Just a couple of guys that were just from the back of the field. So, yeah, they're going to just try and make something late out of the going. We're probably going to have about maybe a 3-lap shootout to decide this thing. Gonna have to wait and see, but now, if you're in the back, this is where you just, or if you're just anywhere in the field, this is where you want to just avoid any and all chaos, because you got people that are just gonna throw it into places where they shouldn't. You got people who are gonna do everything they can to get all the business they can get all the points that they can. Guys like Seth the Merchant really can't afford a really bad night because he came in 20th on the cut line with a drop. So he's going to need a big night. If he can finish right where he is, that's a lot of points for him. And really interested to see how all the points are going to shake out after tonight's race between this split and the split on FTF. Really looking forward to see how these final weeks are going to play out. But a lot of guys need some big points tonight. And this tonight they can get it done, hopefully.
We will have to see, obviously, split number 1 coming around one more time before they get the green flag for NASCAR overtime. And remember, the rules for overtime, we are allowed up to 3 attempts at overtime. No unlimited attempts, but 3 just in case we need them. You see your top 5 so far as they currently run. You've Kostowitz, Wright, Buttafuoco, DeMerchant, and Agnell Phillip there in the number 9. All these guys been very, very strong all night long, Dan. I expect to see the 1 lap to go signal right here from Barney the flagman and turn the lights off on the iRacing sedan pace car, man. This is really anybody's game up at the front. If you're Spencer Kostowitz, you might have to get the best restart of your life here heading down into turn 1.
Yeah, as long as you can get through this restart smoothly, and if he's in a spot where Brad Wright can't get to the bottom and Buttafuoco can swipe that spot from him, then it's pretty much all Kostowitz out front. But like I said, he's had a chance at a win earlier this year back in Mid-Ohio, lost it through some unfortunate circumstances with lap cars, but thankfully, he don't got to worry about that tonight. He just got to keep doing what he's been doing since from the drop of the green flag tonight. Just get a good restart, pull away, hopefully we get no more yellows, and bring this thing home as we're getting ready to go green.
We're getting ready to go green. Obviously, this will not be a overtime finish, but will be a official restart here coming down. 3 laps to go. What are we going to see out of the pack here? Round number 2, race 5. Who's it going to be? It's been Kostowitz all night. Can he have the night spoiled by somebody else? Coming into the restart zone for what could be the last time. Green flags in the air. Spencer Kostowitz gets a great restart, but Brad Wright's right there on the outside. He'll tuck back in line behind him and try to set up himself for a great exit off turn 2.
Trying to get set up and exit off turn number 2. Side by side for P3. Buttafuoco just gets out of set the Merchants. Side by side for P5. We got Agnell Phillip, Eddie Kerner. Then we got the blocking guy on the inside. Michael Venable blocking Max Brady. Brady ain't going to have any of it trying to move out of the way. And we got trouble in the pick. They keep it straight. They're coming off 3 and 4 wide off turn number 4. 2 laps to go at the line.
2 laps to go at the line. We stay green. Spencer Kostowitz, your race leader. You see some 3 wide back behind Blaze Crawford. That's Kwame Scott, Chris Hill, Johnny Avila. They all work their way, and can they get to the white flag, Dan, this time by into 3 and 4?
Well, let's see if they can keep it clean, boys. Keep it clean. They're 3 and 4 wide. Kyler wins, moving Chris Hill out of the way. They're all going to keep it sorted, and they're going to get to the white flag this time by.
White flag is out. 1 lap to go. Spencer Kostowitz trying to make a story here tonight at the Milwaukee Mile. He's going to have to hold Brad Wright off for 2 more corners. Down the back straightaway for the final time. Brad Wright going to try to send it in as hard as he can, but it's not going to be enough. It was a Mid-Ohio heartbreaker weeks ago for Spencer Kostowitz. Tonight, victorious at the Milwaukee Mile, Spencer Kostowitz, race number 5, round 2 winner in Wisconsin.
Very well done by him and the Ryko Motorsports team. Started on pole, pretty much led flag to flag, and definitely well-deserved win. Got back his win from Mid-Ohio, and definitely puts a statement that he is a force to be reckoned with if he were to make it to the Contender Series. Very, very well done to him tonight.
What a job by Spencer Kostowitz and everybody over at Ryko for sure. No doubt about it. Getting some support. There's Jackson Crowder behind him. Lots of guys, some heated tempers possibly here after the race. We saw a lot of jockeying for position there, Dan, and I'm sure enough it's definitely going to shake up the points.
Yeah, we had some instances at the back of the field. A lot of guys lost some spots there. They were 3 and 4 wide. There was just a big old mess coming off of the end of that race. It got crazy there. Kyler Wynn, we saw who he pitted for tires late. He ended up in the 15th spot. Jake Nichols was 17th, all coming late for tires. A lot of guys got shuffled late in the going there, but right now, all about Spencer Kostowitz, burning it down on the front straight away. Well-deserved win, and hopefully we get to talk to him, Brad Wright, and Buttafuoco here in just a few minutes.
Yes, for sure, and we're going to go over the iRacing, I should say, the official race results here right before we are able to talk to these drivers. And coming home, obviously, first tonight, we have Spencer Kostowitz, Brad Wright, Daniel Buttafuoco, Seth DeMerchant, Agnell Phillip, Jackson Crowder, Eddie Kerner, Austin Johnson. Strategy works out for him. Michael Venable, same goes with him. Michigan's winner, Blaze Crawford, rounds out your top 10, Dan.
And rounding and coming to P11, Max Brady. He had a rough race tonight, but he did all he could. He finished P11. Great race for him. James Wetzel faltered late, finished 12th. Johnny Avila, P13. Michael P. Fritz, P14. Kyler Wynn, like I mentioned, finished P15. Came for tires late. Seemed to be a benefit for him. Chris Hill, he got faltered. He faltered or fell back late, finished 16th. Jake Nichols, 17th. Kwame Scott, he was having a great run. He faltered as well, finished P18, got moved around on that last lap. Logan Elton, really quiet all night, finished P19, and Ray Alfala comes back for a top 20, but it's still not the night he was looking for, Jason.
Rest of the field going back down to 31st. You have Brendan Meal. Tough night for him. Lots of these guys in the back tonight, Dan, for sure. No doubt about it. Cody Harris, Tanner Love. You see Kevin Champagne, Jack Coyne, Mitchell Hunt, Ryan Hill. You have Jesse Kaplan, Kenny Humpy, John Jenkins. And then rounding out the field tonight is, I believe that's Kenny Humpy, or Tommy Gossett per se. Yes, it was Tommy Gossett. Man, that is a night, no doubt about it, that he's going to want to forget, say the least. But with that being said, folks, we're going to wrap up here. But first off, we're going to get our drivers up here in the booth. Going to take a quick break, and we'll be back for post-race coverage of race number 5 of round 2 for the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying series.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com. Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Right, sounds good. We welcome you back, ladies and gentlemen, to post-race coverage for the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying series, race number 5 of round 2. And we have one of our drivers who finished P3, I believe it was tonight, that being Daniel Buttafuoco, and the driver, the number 13, Daniel Falkingham is going to be standing by with him.
Daniel Buttafuoco coming home P3 tonight, started P7. Seems like it's been the story of the season. You have some semi-decent qualifying runs, but you always drive it through the field, and you're always right there at the podium place at the end. Seemed like you weren't sure what you had, but talk about the race tonight.
Yeah, well, we were pretty fast long run, I think. I think that first run, we were like a tenth and a half faster than the leaders. So, lacked a lot of drive off. That's why I couldn't get around Jackson in the race soon enough. Didn't have the traction we needed, but ran good. I mean, I was a bit of a hazard this race. There's the one thing with Eddie where I tried to roll center because he had a bad, because he was blocking, and I tried to roll center just to get him a little loose, and then ended up hitting him pretty bad. Got the spot, and I felt bad about it. Apologized multiple times because that's not how I like to get around guys. And then the one restart there where I tried to slot in line in front of Venable behind Brad, and I misjudged it terribly and almost wrecked Brad. And so it was crazy. It was a hectic, but still came away with third. There was points in the race where I didn't even think I wanted to pass people because the way it was, like you couldn't make moves on the top. There was just no grip out there, no speed. So like if you tried to pass for an even spot, like if I went from third and tried to pass for second, the one restart had hurt me. So I was thinking about going for second, but in case there's another yellow, I just told myself I'm just going to ride in third and just not get trained on restarts. So, long explanation, I know, but it was a good race. Really great piece. We worked hard on it, and yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like traffic was an issue all night long, but it seemed like really, how hard was it to really follow with traffic? Because it seemed like clean air we always know is king, no matter where we go. But it just seemed like with how one groove Milwaukee seemed to race tonight, it just seemed so difficult.
It was worse in this race than in testing for me. I don't know if it was always like that in other short tracks because I never felt that at IRP, but here, because it's track so low grip, I'm not sure the actual reason, but when I was behind Crowder, yeah, I mean, it was harder to get the nose pointed. That wasn't even a huge issue. It was more the rear. When you're behind in traffic, it was almost like you had no rear downforce. It was like somebody is on your bumper the whole time. Like they're trying to get your air off you, but they're like 3-4 tenths behind you. Like you could be behind a guy and the next guy behind you isn't even really close to you, and it feels like you have no rear grip. So it was a battle of just drive off, really. The clean air was very powerful because you had a lot more drive off. But if you were good enough, you could still pass people and still make it through the field, which we ended up doing, but took a lot longer than what we needed to because we were just lacking a drive off we needed and got better as the race went on. But still was a good race. Everybody at NFR did a great job. Shout out JD and Vince for all the help. Parker for being there, just I guess moral support. He's been on the box a lot lately, just watching. And everybody, all my teammates, Frisch, Max, Blaze, Zwack, Zach, and Matt for everything to do, and also Don for helping me a lot as well, for giving me some good tips and pointers. So I really wanted to win this one because it's such a cool track. But hey, a third will do. It's good points, and I think we're mathematically locked into contender now. So last year we were down to the wire, so now it feels good. Next 2 races we can breathe a little easy and don't have to worry too much about Bristol Dirt or Homestead.
Because I was giving my next question, like barring any really bad things happen with this finish tonight, you should effectively be headed to the Contender Series in about 1 month's time. So just how does it feel to just compare to what happened last season? It was down to the wire. How good does it feel to just have it done, about a month left in the season, and just get ready to almost put full focus into Contender and just trying to focus on getting the rest of your teammates into the Contender Series?
Yeah, I mean it feels great. I can there's stress relief for sure. It was good, especially Bristol Dirt last year. We had a good shot at maybe locking in there, but we wrecked it. So hopefully we don't do that there. But yeah, it's great. But more than anything, I think I'm focused on trying to make sure now my teammates make it in, because they're all deserving of it. And I'm not the best at dirt, so they'll be having to teach me how to get around dirt a lot better because that's my Achilles heel. But I'll do the best I can to help them with setup and just approach, because dirt has changed a lot, as some of you may know, the past few months, the latest builds. It takes a lot longer for it to slick up. I think tire is a thing now. The lanes may change because of that, because of how it slicks up and all that. So it might throw a couple of curveballs. I honestly don't know until I start testing it, but that should be fun. And Homestead, I've never raced there in a truck, so I don't know what to do. But I'm gonna do the best I can to help my teammates, and then may as well get a jump start and Contender and learn the B car better, because it took me too long to figure out how to drive that thing. So looking forward to it. Bit of a subdued reaction, I guess, but I'm pretty excited, and just hopefully we can keep the momentum going. And I'd love to win the championship for Road to Pro, even though it really doesn't mean anything, but I'd love to win it just for giggles, to say I've won a championship on console and PC and eNASCAR, so that'd be really cool. But just gotta take it a race at a time.
Absolutely, love to hear it. You've been doing great all season long. Maybe go knock out a couple more wins, but just keep doing what you're doing, and everything will play out. But good job, Dan, on the podium once again, and good luck in 2 weeks at Bristol.
Appreciate it, bud.
That is Daniel Buttafuoco, P number 3. And well, I'm actually going to drag up here Brad Wright, who comes home P number 2. Brad, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Not sure how you're doing. Seemed like you had a great piece tonight. Seemed like you had a shot at the race win, but we'll get to that in just a minute. But just take us through your race overall and just how the night played out for you.
Yeah, it's just kind of a team strategy. Spencer and I have been working throughout the entire road to pros, so it was just kind of a matter of just protecting each other. We were, I think, negative 19 points entering this race. So really, we went to work, spent countless hours on the race setup and the queue setup. So it was really just about execution. And once we were up front, it was just wasn't really about racing each other, just more or less just getting to the finish.
Yeah, and I also want to talk about that last pit stop. You got the win off pit road. Seemed like you're looking pretty good. Then you had someone stay out. Then you lost the lead right back there. Seemed like you had a good shot to win there. Then it just stuff kind of fell out your way. But I mean, it still feels really good to come home with a P2, even though you couldn't quite get the win there.
Yeah, feels good. Appreciate you guys doing the broadcast. Appreciate your effort week in, week out. I enjoy going back and watching them. So yeah, just another week. 2 weeks, we'll do it again. See how it plays out.
We hear you. Congrats, and like you said, a big points night for you. So hopefully you can keep that going. Your thoughts on Bristol Dirt in 2 weeks? Something completely different. We had this on the schedule last year. We're going to do it again in 2 weeks' time. Your thoughts on going to the dirt?
The track itself is fine. There's a lot of great talent in the series. I'm just not completely sure it's the right decision for the qualifying series into the contender series. But as far as the racing goes, it's going to be wild. It's 2 or 3 wide, so it'll be fun. Be fun to watch. I'm just not sure it's the best for scraping out talent into the contender series. So that's kind of how I feel about it. But we'll race it just like we've done every other track this week, these last few weeks, and go from there.
Absolutely, to each their own. Good job on the P2 tonight, and best of luck in 2 weeks at Bristol.
Appreciate you. Thanks, guys.
That is Brad Wright coming home P2. And Jason, I'm going to throw it over to you as we got our race winner right here, Spencer Kostowitz.
We're going to kick it over to Spencer Kostowitz, your race winner for race number 5 of round 2 for the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying series. Spencer, you had a mirror full of Brad Wright most of the race, man, with the cautions playing out and with how low the track grip was, being a bottom feeder, man. How did it feel to know that you just went out there and just dominated tonight, pretty much flag to flag?
Well, no, shout out to Brad. Really, we were in Discord together and we executed that perfectly. Really, we both were in the same position headed into tonight, and we were working together all week. And there were a couple times where he definitely could have taken it, but yeah, it feels good. I mean, getting redemption from Mid Ohio, getting wrecked out on the last lap, and yeah, it feels good to finally get one.
I was actually just going to bring that up from Mid Ohio. Obviously, made the call that you got wrecked at Mid Ohio late in the going. You were leading that race, man, and from that to this, what does the transition feel like emotionally and mentally, knowing that, okay, I got the monkey off my back from Mid Ohio? How do I go about handling these next 2 weeks when we head to Bristol and Homestead?
Yeah, I mean, had to have it. Like there was really no other option. I think it's just the series is sort of a lottery in a way, and sometimes you get lucky, and it's been a lot of misfortune for me. So, but I'm just gonna keep my head down, and whatever happens. It definitely sets me up nicely for the next couple rounds. So, yeah.
Congratulations, obviously, on that first place win tonight, man. Final thoughts before we let you go to celebrate with your team and try to move on and advance into the Contender Series here in 4 weeks' time.
Yeah, shout out to you guys doing the broadcast every week. It's pretty cool to look back on, and shout out to Brad and everybody at Ryko, and yeah, feels good.
Spencer Kostowitz, driver of that number 26 machine, I believe it was, that went to victory lane tonight. And obviously now, Dan, we saw a race that was really, really interesting. Thought we were going to see something more of a long green flag run. And turns out that, we didn't really see that exactly. We had cautions kind of scattered out throughout the field. and during the race all night long, man. I mean, final thoughts on tonight's race?
Yeah, it seemed like another just your average road to pro experience. You get some green flag runs, then you get your cautions, and then you get the late race caution. You got to avoid all the momentum, all the incidents, all that. I don't know why I said that, but yeah, it just seemed like just another road to pro race. Pretty interesting race for our first ever road to pro race at Milwaukee. It was definitely something else. Great to be here in Wisconsin, and now, man, we go from this track, and then we're going to Bristol Dirt for the penultimate race of the season, where a lot of people are going to be really good. Dirt might be in their wheelhouse, and a lot of people, it's going to be out of their wheelhouse. That's going to be that is a race I am for sure looking forward to watching next week. I'm glad I don't have to be a part of it, because it was a struggle for me last year, but I'm very interested to see how everyone else is going to get on here in 2 weeks' time. I'm ready to go, and hopefully we have Terry join us in a couple of weeks. I know he couldn't be here tonight, but I know that's a race he doesn't want to miss.
Sure, because he's been over there for iRacing calling the World of Outlaws Butt Kicker Dirt Late Model Series recently. So I'm sure for a guy who says he hates dirt, knows definitely a lot more about dirt than me and you, Dan, for sure. But hey, folks, that's going to do it for us over here tonight on FTN. You can catch Split 2 of the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying series in 2 weeks' time at 9 p.m. Eastern, as always on FTN from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway on the dirt. And with just 2 races remaining on the Road to Pro schedule, we'll have to see who those top 20 drivers that will be that will make it into the NASCAR or the eNASCAR Contender Road to Pro Series. So on behalf of all of our partners here at FTN, David Kreutz, our producer, Daniel Falkingham, my analyst, Terry Radford, always giving me all the knowledge for my eNASCAR and also my big brain, and everybody at iRacing eNASCAR, as always. Have an awesome weekend, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks' time where we'll sling some dirt from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway.